relax, close your eyes, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayanitti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Omega
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online Satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. A spiritual community of two or more people, however informal it might be, that come together to share their journeys of awakening and transformation. And that's us. The Flowering Heart community draws people from all over the world, from other countries, other continents, and we come from different teachings, different spiritual traditions and backgrounds. What we all share is that we are on the journey of awakening and the flowering of our hearts in oneness with the Divine Source. So welcome. We send throughout the webcast, and it's happening right now, the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a direct transmission of divine grace, love, light, and awakened consciousness. Directly from Source, it catalyzes awakening in us who receive it. It dissolves blocks to awakening. If we're already awakened, it takes us deeper and deeper and deeper, because awakening is an ongoing journey, not a destination. So, welcome tonight. Please invite the Divine to pour the Flowering Heart Blessing through you to all the others who participate with us tonight, and to all who ever watch the video of this satsang in the future. Once you've received a single Flowering Heart Blessing, you're initiated fully. To just invite the Divine to pour it through you. It's not something we do. We don't need to understand it. It just is the Divine pouring grace through us. So simply invite the Divine, and you'll find that as you're letting the blessing flow through you, holding the intention that it's for everyone here tonight, everyone who watches this in the future, that the presence is working on you as the blessing flows through you. So, please join us. Let's see, announcements. We have a new book for our book club. Some of you may be aware we have an interfaith centering group. We're really focusing on the interfaith aspect of that. It's a beautiful contemplative meditation practice that focuses on the inner divine, on God within. And it's something that originated with the ancient desert monks of the Middle East. But centering prayer, or centering, is being practiced today by people from all faiths: Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, pagan, you name it. Whatever faith tradition you embrace. If you're looking for a meditation practice that focuses on the inner divine and leads to divine union, then centering is something you should definitely check out. So every Sunday at 2 p.m. live here at Flowering Heart Center, and online through Zoom. You need to get the Zoom link from us. We have a book club that focuses on mysticism, meditation, contemplative prayer, and surrounding spirituality. We just finished one book, and we've taken a little break, and now we're going to, starting March 2nd. Now until then, we still meet every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll do the 30 minutes of centering. But starting March 2nd, we'll begin by discussing a new book, which is Peace Pilgrim. Some of you may be familiar with Peace Pilgrim, her life and work in her own words. This is an amazing saint, an amazing being, and it's a wonderful book. It's all her own words. Peace Pilgrim, if you don't know much about her, relinquished her name and all of her possessions, and she stepped out on January 1st, 1953, wearing a blue tunic printed with her new identity, Peace Pilgrim, her only name. For the next 28 years, she walked on foot, crisscrossing North America, touching countless hearts and minds and lives as she walked joyfully on her pilgrimage and for peace. It was all about walking for peace. And she's simply an amazing person. And this book can be had free. So I'd say go to our website, but I'm having trouble with that right now. So I'll put some information up on Facebook, but if you want to get on it, because it takes probably about 10 days to get your free copy, you can email me, michael@floweringheart.org or suzanne@floweringheart.org, and we'll give you the link. This book, I think, is without any argument a life changer. Everyone who's read it has said that it's changed their lives. So
we also encourage you to, they have a site button to donate because they do. The last time I read this was in 2000, and I just got the PDF copy on the computer, and I went ahead and gave them a donation. But the actual book itself is really nice, so we wanted to give them a donation to help out with their printing costs and shipping and all of that. So
encourage that.
Yes.
Indeed. So, whatever you feel comfortable with and can afford, it will help them. They've been giving this book and other materials away for the last 20 plus years, free, to people all over the world. And they have literally sent out millions. And you can imagine what that probably costs, because it's more than $1 to print these. and just what an amazing, selfless work her life was, and the people who are carrying on and sharing her message. So
I'm excited to read it again. I read it back in 2000, and I started it on Friday. I haven't been much of a reader the last couple of decades, and I just, started on it, and every spare moment I had, I couldn't put it down. I finished it by Monday. I'm a pretty slow reader because I like to digest and absorb the passages, but it really had a deep impact. I know those of you that are regulars on this Monday night on Monday nights.
She just lost her mind.
I did.
So
know that I've mentioned it several times, but I am excited to do it with a group and hear feedback and hear reflections from other people's lives.
The last couple books we've done have been intense and deep on mystical prayer and things, but this one I think you'll find a refreshing break from that into a very vital transmission. And Peace Pilgrim was backed by no organization. She belonged to no organization. She was considered herself a very spiritual person, but belonged to no particular religion. I think wherever you're coming from, you will just love Peace Pilgrim.
It's universal.
And if anyone knows Prudence out there, tell her we're doing this. She'll love it. Okay, so if you're watching now or at any time in the future on Facebook, please give us a like or a love. We don't make anything out of it. That's not the point. We just like to see the hearts and the thumbs up and go in and see your names afterwards. We send you special blessings. So even if you're watching this a week after we did it, please give us a like or a love. And I keep going back in and looking at the names and sending blessings to you who do that. And if you're on Vimeo, which is great, that's our basic streaming platform, just please, and I can see there are some people there, just enter in the chat. They're over on the right. Hi, it's me, and your name, because sometimes we get these tags like bliss or love, and I'm not quite sure who that is. So if you just tell me, and Suzanne, your name on Vimeo and enter it in the chat, we will bless you as well. So there it is. We like to open it up to questions and answers on the spiritual journey. And I see some are beginning to come in, but I have some things to share with you first, to give you time to think about what questions you might have in your heart. The first one is actually from the book Journey to Self-Realization by Paramahatma Yogananda. Yogananda was a great God-realized master who passed away right before I was born, which was a long, long time ago. But he continues to influence so many people through the Self-Realization Fellowship and through Kriya Yoga. And his guru, actually, Sri Yukteswar, I feel like he's always over my shoulder watching me. Yogananda was one of the first Indian gurus that touched me through his picture at the lake shrine. I felt him so deeply. And that was right at the beginning of my spiritual journey, really. And over the years, I've continued to feel his love and a connection with him. And this is something that he wrote about regaining your God-given freedom in this book, Journey to Self-Realization. So here's what he says. Where is your freedom? How little freedom you have left. The freedom that God has given you as His own to touch the Milky Way and to feel your presence in the flowers and in the stars. That freedom has gone completely because of the many influences upon you. Most people are like psychological antiques, brittle, with set ideas and set influences. The minute you sit on them, they break. That's why our Indian astrologers say we are all puppets. I do not believe that. I believe you can destroy any karma you want to. If you close all the doors and windows in a room, darkness is there. But if you bring in the light, that darkness is gone instantly. Even the darkness that has permeated a cave for thousands of years is vanquished immediately when light is brought in. Will you reason that it will take a light 100 years to destroy those eons of darkness? That's foolish. So, we may have karma of past lives under whatever civilization, nationality, community, and family we've lived, and of this life with the influences of this present civilization, nationality, community, and family. But if we realize we are gods, we will be free from that karma now. Every human being is made in the image of God. If you find that image within yourself, how can you have any karma? God, as the master of this universe, has no karma. If you know that you are one with God, there can be no karma for you. Wow. Hello? He speaks with such certainty and authority, doesn't he? He knows what he's talking about. So, karma. Ha. Ha. Okay. So, here's some quotes from inspiringquotes.com, and the author who put this little article together is Paula Bennett. We like her. She's a writer based in Brooklyn, New York, who writes a fortnightly newsletter that treasures the mundane called Small Histories. Find her on Instagram at Paula Bennett, spelled Paola Bennett. And here's what she says about beating the winter blues. Now is the winter of our discontent, William Shakespeare wrote at the opening of his play, Richard III. Indeed, in the depths of the winter season, we can sometimes feel powerless against the short, dark days and their unending cold. Such sluggishness is certainly supported by the rhythms of nature. Winter being the time when many animals hibernate. But there are still plenty of ways we can bolster ourselves during the coldest months of the year. For one, following the lead of some Scandinavian countries, we can start to appreciate what winter offers us. Starkly beautiful landscapes, cozy time indoors with loved ones, and a slower pace. Second, we can remember that even when we feel our worst, winter's hold will always loosen. And you can take this spiritually as well as climatically. After the winter solstice in late December, daylight hours begin to lengthen again in a steady march towards spring. The following quotes offer a reframe on winter, its advantages, its natural transience, and how we might bear the bitter days while they still linger. We even still have some cold down here in Florida, off and on. Here's some beautiful quotes. Winter is the time for comfort, for good food and warmth, for the touch of a friendly hand and for a talk beside the fire. It is the time for home. Edith Sitwell, poet. We feel cold, but we don't mind it, because we'll not come to harm. And if we wrapped up against the cold, we wouldn't feel other things, like the bright tingle of the stars, or the music of the aurora, or best of all, the silky feeling of moonlight on our skin. It's worth being cold for that. Philip Pullman, writer. No animal, according to the rules of animal etiquette, is ever expected to do anything strenuous or heroic or even moderately active during the off-season of winter. Kenneth Grahame, writer. That's what winter is, an exercise in remembering how to still yourself, then how to come pliantly back to life again. Ali Smith, also a writer. Summer's the time for squabbles. In winter, we must protect one another, keep each other warm, share our strengths. George R.R. Martin. So we save our squabbles for summer? Ah, world, what lessons you prepare for us, even in the leafless winter, even in the ashy city. I'm thinking now of grief and of getting past it. Mary Oliver. Laughter is the sun that drives winter from the human face. Victor Hugo. If we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste of adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. Anne Bradstreet, poet. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. Albert Camus. If you spent the summer singing, you can't do better than spend the winter dancing. Aesop. I still believe in summer days. The seasons always change and life will find a way. Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson. Winter is a season of recovery and preparation. Paul Thoreau, writer. Thank goodness for the first snow. It was a reminder, no matter how old you become and how much you'd seen, things could still be new if you were willing to believe they still mattered. Candace Bushnell. I like the cold weather. It means you get work done. Noam Chomsky. Let us love winter, for it is the spring of genius. Pietro Aretina, playwright. Yeah, it's been quite a winter.
Yeah.
People think we don't have seasons in Florida. Some years we don't. And when we don't really have a winter, it's true, spring is almost like, well, that's nice, you know, we're on our way to summer.
Kind of rolls into.
But I've lived up north, Suzanne's from Wyoming, when you really go through winter and spring comes and the buds begin to blossom and the leaves come out on the trees and the flowers bloom and the birds are singing, it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
It is. And we wouldn't appreciate that if it weren't for the cycles of winter, spring, summer, and fall. So, let's see what we got. And you can leave questions on Vimeo too. So Tristan writes, my first question is, why do people in different mega churches claim to have the powers of Christ for show and don't? Did God only give the gift to some preachers? God gave the gift to everybody. Christ said, many are called, but few are chosen. I like to say it even farther. Everyone is called. But not everyone answers the call. That's what it comes down to. The gift of the Spirit is the deal. And the Spirit has these gifts. You're pointing to the 9 charismatic gifts of the Holy Spirit, healing and prophecy and miracles and visions and all of that. Those gifts are the belongings of the Divine Spirit. So when we receive the Divine Spirit and our life is filled with the Spirit, the Spirit can exercise those gifts through us as the Spirit wills, not as we will. Sometimes ego gets in the way. Sometimes those gifts manifest through a spiritual teacher or preacher, even where ego is present, and that can be damaging because it can go to the preacher's head, and they can use those gifts of healing and other things to sort of draw a following after themselves for the wrong motive. Okay, but mega churches that Tristan refers to are generally churches that have like over 5,000 members. They're big. And they get a lot of criticism, but there are some amazing men and women of God who lead huge congregations like that. I'm not going to mention any names. And many of them have tremendous power and gifts of the Spirit flowing through them. And in some cases, that's why so many people were drawn together, because so many people were helped by the gifts of the Spirit and the teaching gifts of the Word of God. So yes, there are churches, mega churches and teeny churches, where people claim to have the powers of Christ, and they do in seed form, but it isn't manifesting through them or in their churches, in their communities. I think we just explained why. Either they haven't really yielded themselves to the fullness of the Divine Spirit to live in them and fill them, or there are obstacles in the way. It could be, personal error blocks between them and the Spirit. And you ask, did God only give the gift to some preachers? No. But those gifts only operate through some, because many preachers in various denominations are ignorant of the gifts of the Spirit. They know maybe the Old Testament gifts, which are more character gifts that are taught traditionally. But the 9 charismatic gifts, word of wisdom, word of knowledge, prophecy, discerning of spirits, healing and miracles, and all of that. Many don't know anything about those gifts because they've only read about them in books, maybe, or not even. And the way that I learned about them, and they begin to operate through my life, was that I hung out with people who had those gifts flowing through their lives for many, many years. Remember, that's something I don't want to toot Tony's horn, but Tony Robbins, that many people have been helped by, says if you want to learn a skill or learn something, seek out the masters. Don't try to learn it all over again for yourself. Go find you want to make violins, go find a master violin maker and hang out with them as an apprentice or an assistant and learn. So that's the way you learn about those gifts. And it's not that easy to find people who are flowing in some of these gifts, who have absolute integrity and selfless surrender to God. But if you're lucky enough to, they're contagious, they will rub off on you. So that's what I have to say about that. You got anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Ekaterina says, I'm enjoying so much the book club. Indeed.
It's been fun connecting with you in person on Zoom every week. It's been
Indeed.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just check over here for a second. All righty. Nope, not over there. Okay, another question from Tristan. You're good at asking the questions, Tristan. Thank you. It livens the discussion. Have you ever met someone who is enlightened and is unconventional? I hear of stories of homeless people who are secretly mystics. I believe there are a lot of rich people who are on the path and have access to great medicines and tools, but are not awakened. Yet, there are modest folks whose auras are golden. What's your experience in your lifetime? Well, yeah, for sure. In fact, I'm not sure. I mean, when we talk about someone who's enlightened, that's a very high bar. I've met a lot of people that are considered awakened, and there are degrees of that. Enlightened, like Paramahansa Yogananda, like Buddha, like many people consider Eckhart Tolle to be an enlightened being. I don't know him personally. He sure seems awakened to me. But so we're using awakened much more these days than the word enlightened because it carries a lot of baggage, enlightened. It's like, you've arrived, you know. And there are some beings who have, and yes, I have met a few who are considered enlightened. I've met quite a few who are considered to be awakened masters and can demonstrate their mastery in ways that are mind-blowing. And we don't need to get into all that, but I mean, Yogananda described mastery. There were certain features of mastery. One thing he said is that someone who has attained mastery can, with a simple intention, instantly enter the breathless state of samadhi. Just simply enter breathlessness, beyond thought, beyond breath. And yes, I've met a number, quite a few people who have that. Okay. Have I met anyone like that who's unconventional? All of them. Good Lord. I'm not sure it's possible to be awakened and be conventional. I mean, if you were conventional and you got awakened, you wouldn't be conventional anymore. Unfortunately, in our present world, being awakened is not what we would call conventional, whatever that means. It's not normal. I mean, R.D. Laing, great psychiatrist and one of the fathers of existential psychology, back in the 60s wrote, our notion of sanity is based on normality. Are you normal? And he said, look at the normal person, he said, if you look at it in today's world, is crazy. If our idea of sanity is based on normality, we're screwed. So I think that to be truly sane, to be fully human, to be balanced and centered and whole and awakened is not the norm. And we're looking for a day when that is conventional. And we're working toward that, for that to become the convention of the world. You hear stories of homeless people who are secretly mystics? Absolutely. Absolutely. There have been many wandering mystics. I mean, Here you go. Peace Pilgrim.
Homeless.
Very awakened, absolutely homeless by choice. I don't know, the Buddha had a home. St. Francis of Assisi didn't have a home. He just camped in the woods wherever, wherever the Spirit led him to park his body for a few days and get some rest. There he was, or in a cave or in the woods. And St. Francis is considered to be a highly enlightened being by multiple traditions, not just the Christian tradition he came from. I could go on down the list, but there are also, as you said, homeless people who are secretly awakened. Many years ago, I'll tell a little story real quick. It was like 50 years ago. I was living in North Hollywood, California. I had just begun my spiritual journey. I was having amazing experiences, and some of my temple brothers, where I was studying with my master, told me about an old man, a beggar, a homeless person, and there weren't that many of them back then as there are now, who was inhabiting North Hollywood Park. And at night he was approaching people and begging for money, for food. And they laughed. They wouldn't give him any money. No, go get a job, Anyway, they treated him with such disrespect and lack of compassion. I felt, oh no, this is terrible. So I set it in my heart, because I was at my friend's house, an elder brother in the temple, and I had to walk past Hollywood Park, and it was late at night, and that was a dangerous thing to do even back then. But I set it in my heart, if I see this guy, I'm not going to treat him that way. And so I'm walking down the sidewalk on the edge of the park toward my apartment, and this voice cries out to me, young man, young man. And here's this old guy. And he says, come here, I need your help. And so I risked it, and I wandered into the darkness of the park to this old man, and he said, I'm so hungry. Could you spare just a little bit for me to get some food and some drink? And I said, yes, I can. And I took what little I have, few dollars out of my pocket. When I handed it to him, it's like he didn't even care. He just swept it aside and grabbed my hands with both of his hands, and his hands were burning. And he looked into my eyes. His eyes were just on fire. And his eyes were just burning, and he fixed my eyes, and his hands were holding me, and my hands were burning. And as he gazed into my eyes, he said, thank you. I will see you on the other side, brother. And I knew it was an angel. That guy was an angel. Or he was an enlightened being through whom an angel manifested. But yeah, and I from that point on kept my heart very open. And I went through a period where I, like others did, tried to follow the example of people like Peace Pilgrim, and I wandered 10,000 miles barefoot in a robe and slept in the woods and experienced the most tremendous miracles of my life in that lifestyle of total abandonment to the grace of God. I wouldn't have called myself totally enlightened, but you know what? I was a mystic in a very high state. And people who looked at me would go, oh, he's just a dirty homeless guy. And so it is with many others. So there are people, rich people on the path who have access to great medicines and tools but are not awakened. That's true. And yet there are modest folks whose auras are golden. Christ said, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And he said many poor and marginalized people are entering the kingdom, where the righteous and the wealthy are sort of still outside the door. So
I think too, the more that we awaken into oneness and unity consciousness with everyone around us, the term conventional doesn't make sense anymore, because our whole whole world is set up, especially here in the United States, but the whole world is kind of set up where we're enslaved to our jobs, enslaved to money, enslaved to whatever systems have been set up. And the more that we awaken to the reality of God within us, the divine within us, and not my will but thy will be done, the more surrendered we get, the more that we walk the walk and talk the talk. You know, it's we grow in that, and we start to look around and we notice the homeless people that have that light coming from their eyes. And I notice people that are filled with faith have a glow about them. And those that haven't connected or been exposed to awakening to unity and that we are all one, you know, they're just kind of withdrawn and a little bit dull. It's like they just haven't woken up to that level of life that is life-giving and joyful. And even the hard times, we learn the lessons and we move on. So conventional, for me, is highly overrated, because we start to have eyes that see all the systems that are put in place to keep us separate from each other, from the world, from nature, from the divine, and all the distractions that are put in our path throughout the day, whether it's social media, whether it's our phones, whether it's, you know, whatever distractions come up throughout the day. The more time we can spend in just contemplation and meditation, even while we're doing regular everyday things, the more we start to see the veil gets lifted.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So, we invite you to close your eyes and open your heart and invoke the presence within. You are the dwelling place of the fullness of the divine presence. Within you abides the source of all that is. This divine presence is all powerful, all wise, all knowing, all unconditional love. It loves you just as you are. Some of the bad teachings of religion have told people there's a huge gulf separating them from God. That could not be farther than the truth, for God lives within you. And in the divine presence we live and move and have our being. There is no separation between us and the divine at all. But there is so much suffering because of our feelings of separation from the divine, separation from one another, separation from nature. The divine wants to free you, to flood you with the presence tonight, to dissolve the veil of separation, to flood your heart with light, to draw you through the gravitational attraction of pure love, the divine. If you just let go and yield yourself, the divine will draw you into the center, into oneness with the divine and with all that is. Simply hold the intention to be set free, to be awakened, to be in oneness with your true essence, which is the divine within, and receive the light, the love, the grace that is flooding you right now, pouring out within you and flooding you from all around. Just receive it, drink it in, relax, and allow the divine presence free you and transform you. Right now, if you acknowledge and realize your oneness with the divine within, you're free from all karma. That light wants to shine out, flooding your heart with illumined, yes, enlightened consciousness, and flood your soul, your thoughts, and your emotions with divinely inspired thoughts, feelings, programs, and plans that come from the divine, to dissolve all of those painful ones that have filled your mind and your emotions for so long. Just receive the flowering heart blessing and let it wipe the slate clean and fill you with God thoughts and God feelings, God plans. Shine out into your physical body to fill you with healing grace, divine life and light, divine health. Receive healing in your whole body. Drink it in. Just keep breathing it in. Receiving more and more and more. Divine yearns to shine through your spirit, your soul, your body, into your relationships, to heal them and set them right, to shine through your life and the world as a light, rippling out through the human collective to infinity. That's the purpose of your life. Yield to the light within, to shine through every layer of your being, to shine into the world, to touch, to ignite the hearts of all who come in contact with Now you could relax your hands in your lap somewhere, open and turned upward. And open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep gazing at least one of our eyes. As we dive into the light meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of grace and light and love for you, pouring through every fiber of our being, especially streaming through our eyes. As you just keep looking, that light streams out through our eyes, in, through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, awakening within you the fires of divine love, the indwelling divine presence, the light of awakening, brighter and brighter and brighter. Just keep looking. There's nothing for you to do now, but just look and receive. close your eyes now. Meditate with us just a few more minutes as the grace settles within you. Now keep meditating as long as it feels good to you, or lie down nearby in Shavasana. Shavasana is the easiest yoga pose of all. You find a nice place to lie down on your back. You close your eyes, your arms loosely at your sides with your palms open, turned upward, and just let yourself dissolve with gratitude in the presence. That's all there is to it. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you, and we bow to you. Namaste.